Hiya, my name's David. I'm the Wandering Ponderer. I am wandering and I am pondering. Over the last couple of days I've been sitting around at home, but also welcome to the first video of 2022, the first ponder of 2022. I've been sitting around at home doing a bit of music, getting my studio ready, and I've been pondering all sorts of things. There's a film that I watched in my childhood, and I've watched since, from the 1960s, called The Time Machine, and it's the 1960s Time Machine I'm referring to. And you always watch that. I remember watching that sort of on New Year's Eve, because it was very well, it was appropriate to do so. I just want to give you this view. This is lovely. The river is high-ish, not roaring away down there. But rivers, water, flowing water, always conveys the passage of time. See how the water moves. And of course, over there, a lovely view. The first vista of 22. I had a realisation about time travel while I was thinking, nursing my bad back, and people have been thinking about the possibilities of travelling time for a long time. H.G. Wells wrote his book about it. Been countless numbers of movies. You've got the Doctor Who series. You've got lots of films and TV about time travel. So far, time travel is not a possible thing, although there are claims of them having travelled some exotic particle through time. I don't know how they managed to even verify those claims. That's better. I've got optimum light now. But here we are on a river. If I'd invented time travel in Coggeshall and I wanted to go back 5 minutes, or even back a minute, 1 minute from this spot to see what it was like 1 minute ago, I would end up about 14 miles away from my current position. 14 or 15 miles, this part of the hemisphere. Now, why? I'd want to go back in time a minute, and I would end up 14 or 15 miles away, not here. I would end up somewhere else a minute ago. It's possible, depending on where you are around the Earth, because the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. 1,000 miles an hour, which at the equator, 1,000 miles an hour, which gives it a movement, and I'm talking only about the circular motion of the Earth. There are other things involved in this time travel. On the equator, 1,000 miles an hour, so it's 16.5 miles a second, a minute. It's moving. So you go back in time a minute, you end up travelling back 16.5 miles, more or less. You could end up somewhere you would rather not end up. It is even possible, if you wanted to travel back even further, you'd end up floating in space. Why? Because the Earth is not just moving in a circular motion, it's also moving around the Sun. And I've got figures, facts and figures. I've actually pondered this and looked at it. It orbits around the Sun at 67,000 miles per hour, which is 18.5 miles per second. So you've got another dimension of movement that you've got to enter into your time travel factor. Because simply travelling back in Coggeshall to see what it was like 300 years ago, you could end up in a very bad place. You could even end up in the centre of the Sun. You could end up, I mean, I wouldn't even know where you'd end up, but you would not be on this planet. This is why time travel is pure fiction at this moment, because there's so many things that we have to work out. Now, the Earth is not just travelling around the Sun. The Sun itself is moving. It's moving through space at 140 miles a second. So they've calculated. They may be out by quite a bit. So we're taking the scientists' calculations. That's 140 miles a second. The Sun is orbiting the centre of the galaxy. Now, it takes the Sun about 230 million years to do a full circle. The galaxy itself is moving through space, and this is where it gets all murky and shady, and a lot of the so-called speculative calculations of what's happening out there are just really, they're not fact, it's all theory. But here's the conundrum. We've been sold this romantic idea of time travel, but it's not time travel as such. It's time and space travel. We have to take travelling through space into the equation when we're calculating our time travel destination. Otherwise, you could end up, well, if it depends how where you are, where your starting point is on the Earth, and which direction the Earth is moving. You could theoretically end up in the centre of the Earth if you go back in time a few minutes. If you're standing on a mountain and want to see what it was like 200 years ago on that mountain, you would no longer go back in time, you would no longer be standing on that mountain, but for that second you materialise in that time period, you would be, well, anywhere in space, not on a mountain. Even go back 30 seconds, you'd fall from a great height because you would no longer be on top of the mountain. It doesn't bear thinking about. Really, seriously, doesn't bear thinking about what could happen to you. Time travel. This is a wonderful thing about history that allows us, using historical documents which are not always accurate, let's be honest. History is written by the victor, so someone once said, and it's always embellished. They always make, in a war, they always make the enemy more evil than what the enemy probably really was in reality. But this whole thing with history is the only thing that we have that enables us to go back in time. Archaeology, digging things up. For me, this is time travel. This is the only way we're going to safely time travel. I don't want you time travelling and ending up in the middle of the vacuum of space gasping for air, or materialising inside a mountain. Depends how far back you want to go. But this is the thing they miss in all these films, is that travel through space. They miss that sort of equation and make it, they think that we are in a fixed point. Oh, I am frozen now. I am going to sign off here. This is my first video of 2022, but I will sign off here and I will see you in the next video. As always, please don't forget, if you haven't, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up. So stay safe, don't forget, and I will see you in the next video.